What's going on, Packers fans? Aaron Nagler here with CHTV, joined by Billy Schmid from 97.3 The Game. It's Beer and Ball. Bill, how are you? How's your bye week treating you?
Refreshed, recharged, and ready to ready to go on a heater here, Nags. That's all I'm saying.
Oh
we
boy.
we got 4 left in the NFL season,
Yes, sir.
bunch of playoffs, and hey, maybe the Packers will be a part of it, maybe they won't. But I know what will be a part of it, me taking some sportsbooks money back of mine.
I like your confidence. Your confidence is infectious. Though I'm not,
baby. It's the giving season, right?
I won't be joining you anytime soon. But hey, like you say, there are 4 games left, and the Packers have one on Monday night. Does it feel like? I mean, does it feel like this is taking forever? I understand.
Oh yeah,
bye week is always going to be long, and you watch other teams play, and it's like, all right, let's get back into the swing of things. But a Monday night coming out of a bye week, it should be criminal. It should not be allowed. It should be put into the bylaws.
Monday night out of a bye week for you, and for the opponent, you would have thought like, okay, sweet, team coming off a Sunday game, little 8 days. Nope, they get an extension, and that's why it almost feels longer, I think, Nags, because
yes,
at least Friday we could have been talking into the Rams.
Right.
Yesterday, last couple of days could have been reacting to what they looked like. We did all of that on Friday and sat throughout the weekend, had a bunch of good games that took up all the mental capacity for it. And it does. It feels like they haven't played a game in a month. And frankly, they haven't played a game at Lambeau in a month.
It's been a long time, but I will be in Green Bay for this game. I'm excited for the cold. I'm excited for the game. I'm excited to see our friends there pregame. It's going to be a lot of fun. 97.3 The Game, always on site. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. The game itself, it's kind of fascinating to me because I look at the Rams, and you mentioned they played the Raiders, that dramatic win at the last minute. What the Raiders are doing on that final play, I'll never know. They're dropping down that safety with 15 seconds left. They have to get into the end zone, and you're playing a single high safety look. What? But I digress. I digress. You look at this matchup for the Packers, and obviously the headline will be Baker Mayfield and the Rams, and their offense has been putrid, and what can they do against this middling Packers defense? But for me, the Packers are a team on offense that needs to run the football. They need to do it to make their offense go. Like, they get in all sorts of trouble when they try to throw it all over the yard, throw it a bunch of times. We know this. We've talked about it all season long. You talk about a bad matchup for the Packers. This is a Rams team that can stop the run, that is very good against the run. And my worry here is, Matt and Aaron, they see this, they know this, and they're going to devise some kind of game plan where, Aaron Rodgers is like, the cold doesn't matter, even though he looks miserable and cold whenever it drops below 30 now. He's an old man.
That's going to be cold.
You get older, and you want to talk a good game, but we all know it feels colder when you're older. And they're going to want to throw it all over the yard. And that is my biggest worry. It's like, it's going to be hard to run the football. They have got to stick with it on Monday night.
Have to stick with it, have to continue to realize that you're going to get hit in the face by one of the greatest to ever do it in Bobby Wagner, right? Like, they won't have the ability to just run at our boy Aaron Donald, because he's not going to play. Right. And the other part of it is, Nags, that when I think as the game will go on, you can get up to him, Bobby Wagner, that being, and be able to go a little bit horizontally. But to start, you're going to have to punish him a little bit, and you are going to have to lean into it and hit him significantly often.
I seem to recall the Packers, I think, have a back built just for that, especially a cold weather runner in A.J. Dillon. Speaking of which, talk about, it is, I wish. It's kind of weird to say, I wish Aaron Donald was playing this game so that he and Elton Jenkins could reacquaint with each other after the face mask grab in the playoff game a couple years ago. But unfortunately, we will be robbed of that matchup. However, we will get to see A.J. Dillon against Bobby Wagner again. You'll recall the last time Bobby Wagner was in Lambeau, A.J. Dillon was running through a motherfucker's face into the end zone. So I'm hoping we see a few more plays along those lines where attack between in the A gap, between the tackles, and keep going. It's going to be hard. It's going to be rough. Keep going. That's this
good thing. Good thing is to maybe lean in on that and see that they may lean into it a little bit. look at the South Scout over the last couple of weeks. They definitely have been under center more and been a little bit more consistent with that. I wonder how much of that, no one's going to admit it until after the season, is because of the thumb and it's starting to be easier to take those snaps. And because it's going to be 8 degrees outside with a broken thumb, you weren't taking a bunch of those snaps. So I imagine that helps our cause for hoping that it's a big 28 then to 33 game here on Monday night.
It's funny too because you mentioned that, and both Aaron has, I think on McAfee mentioned something along those lines about it being a little easier to do now with the tape off and the thumb feeling better. And I know Matt straight up admitted earlier in the season that some of the game planning and design and so much gun was a reaction to how Aaron was feeling under center. It wasn't great, etc. So yes, to your point, hopefully this is a bit more of a mix. And look, I'm not sitting here saying they should never be in shotgun, because of course they will be. A lot of their offense is predicated on stuff out of the gun. I totally get that. But I'm with you. I love the fact that they're mixing it up a lot more now. And it just feels like the kind of game where if you are running the ball effectively between the tackles, you are going to get some opportunities off play action, some of the play pass game. And look, we all know Christian Watson is the big time X factor now, right? But to get him kind of loose, so to speak, against this secondary off play action is tantalizing. And then if they do roll coverage his way or they try to adjust to him, Romeo Doubs stepping back onto this field is going to be a lot of fun. I love the prospect of getting Romeo out there, because whatever you're going to do against Christian, Romeo will make you pay if you play him one-on-one.
And I'm fascinated to get at least one good look at 9 against 5. I want to see at least one Christian Watson against Jalen Ramsey matchup, because listen, Jalen is big and physical, and he's going to punish him up front. Now, people were like, "Whoa, how did Davante Adams only have 3 catches?" He had 7 targets. I mean, Jalen Ramsey was on him. He was one of the best guys in the league. Yeah. He's still very, very good. So that's a good matchup to get some deep shots on, and maybe it restricts them from kind of rolling over, like you're saying.
Right.
But if he gets past them one time, and we've seen,
and that's the thing.
Past Jalen Ramsey,
people get
that's
past
the
Ramsey
problem,
because he is aggressive at the line of scrimmage. And I mean, for a rookie, Christian's shown some nice get off and ability to separate, and
for sure,
definitely like make guys maybe not straight up miss at the line of scrimmage, but he's certainly shown an ability to get off press and or maneuver around it. And if he does that, gone, baby. And we've, like you said, Ramsey has given up some deep shots.
I wonder if the other part is, I saw your video on online. I think it was on transplants, of all the different guys who could be free agents, who should be on the team, who will be back. And Lazard's is interesting for what he looks like, I think, in these last 4 games.
Yeah.
Because make no mistakes about it, it's going to be Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs leading that room next year with, as people might hate to say this, maybe an experienced Randall Cobb again back on a minimum deal to be the leader of the room, right? Another old veteran at a minimum deal to lead the room with those young guys there. But Lazard being able to go back into the slot, be able to be that physical run blocker and pick some stuff up with those 2 on the outside, he might be able to unearth a little bit bigger role that they could see him going forward with what he looks like in these next 4 games with all 3 of those guys on the field.
And
together.
It
being clear, Aaron, that I'm talking to you, Aaron, and the other Aaron, that we already know 9 is the number 1 guy right now, right? There's no fooling yourself that it's 13 anymore. So I think that way of thinking, that philosophy for the next 4 games could be pretty enticing to be able to see what it looks like.
Absolutely. And look no further than, the big catch that Lazard had in the playoff game against the Rams to salt it away on a day where they were running the football and attention was being paid to Davante Adams, and Aaron gives Lazard a single look, and they both know what he's going to be doing. And, they convert, and it's a big gain, and they basically win the game on that play. That's something that we've seen kind of signs of throughout the season, but it is interesting how much Lazard's role could potentially change, like you're saying, with those 2 kind of young bucks coming up and producing and giving him opportunities to take on lesser corners, to operate in the middle without restriction. It'll be
and do what he does well.
Yes.
And do what he does best, right? Like, it's not guys will take it as a shot, and I hope he doesn't, but I think it puts him back at what he does best, which is be the physical wide receiver that you can almost blend in as a tight end style, and be that, like you said, just complement and beat people up and take advantage of what he does in the run game into the pass.
I was just going to say, what's funny is like he's made a living this year on that, make it look like I'm blocking off the line and then turn it into a slant. I mean, he has picked up first downs. He's scored touchdowns with that. And it's because he is so effective in the run game. Like corners have got to be sitting there going, oh God, here we go again. This dude is going to rough me up. I mean, this is a guy who comes in line and takes on defensive ends, and he's out there like blocking corners. They got to be thinking, oh no. And then he hits him with the slant and off he goes. So, and you got to think that's going to be available all day once Christian's on the perimeter and Dobbs is on the perimeter and they're making hay. And then all of a sudden that opens things up way, way wide for Allen Lazard to do dirty work over the middle. I love this.
And if we're seeing it, then they're seeing it, right? Like the other teams around the league are watching it, seeing that and knowing, hey man, I do got to be worried about once in a while this guy's going to stutter, step, and go on me. But he is so physical at the point of attack, and you're right, you got to set an edge, because otherwise he'll drive you 5 yards away.
You're gone. You're out of the play. You are erased.
First down, and thank you very much.
You're getting made fun of on film session that Monday, and you don't want any of that.
Straight roasted. Yeah, roasted like a chestnut on an open fire
for the holiday season. Then we got to turn around. We got to talk about this defense, because, man, Baker Mayfield comes in the building in LA 2 days, plays, I guess half a game. I don't know, not even, but looked pretty good there at the end. Now the Raiders, like we said, had some questionable calls, played a lot of man. Don't know exactly what the approach or thinking was there, but I mean, Baker is not a world beater, but you give him now this time, a full week plus, and McVay scheming him up. I think he could surprise some people. And I'm not thinking, he's going to come in there and throw 300 yards, a bunch of touchdowns, whatever. But he can definitely operate that offense. That's an offense that has made guys with lesser skill look a lot better. And I'm not scared of it, but I'm wary of a full week with McVay and Baker getting to go after the Packers defense.
And doing that off a high of a win like that, right? Like, so they were having good vibes coming into the building all week long, feeling good about it.
Right.
You go out there and lose and score 7 points, McVay's
right.
Here we go, another retread. This ain't gonna work. This ain't fun. But he's better than Bryce Perkins. He's or Bryce Perkins, Brian Perkins, whatever his name was. And John Wofford, respect his family, but sorry, like, you're John Wofford. So once you get to a Heisman Trophy winner and a number one pick, right? Like a number one overall pick, the talent gap is substantial between the guys.
Yep.
And when the coaching advantage could be very significant when going McVay against Joe Barry, could be lesser, depending on who you talk to.
Lord.
That's a reason to be a little bit concerned. I think there's reason to like what McVay was able to do with Mayfield, and also show a little bit more to. I think it says more about the coach than the player, right? Like, we knew Baker can play in spurts when you're kind of playing backyard football,
right?
But if McVay can get him in line and show, like, hey, you can play a little bit here, you can move, we can move this offense. That's a weird two personalities to come together, it, and then maybe go on, because there's a lot of questions there going forward.
I will say the one thing that kind of gives me hope is that the Rams can't run the ball to save their life, right? And we know they're going to try. We know the Packers have been completely suspect against the run. So if you're McVay, you are definitely trying to pound the football early on, because the Packers haven't been able to stop a nosebleed, right? But man, they're atrocious. I mean, they are bad at running the ball. I mean, they're bad at throwing it, but they are terrible at running the football. So this might be the week we actually get into some advantageous looks on defense, as far as obvious passing downs, 3rd and longs, and then maybe we can throw some exotics at Baker, something maybe McVay hasn't schemed up for, because I know, like, Joe wants to rush 4 and play coverage, and I understand it, but man, it just feels like it's time to, like, we're down to our last 4 games, and your playoff hopes are hanging by a thread, man. I'm not saying, like, go Bob Slowick on it. I'm just saying a few wrinkles, a few
Let it
exotic,
rip a little bit.
a little bit, just a little bit, and help out your anemic pass rush, because that's the other thing. Like we got to get to the quarterback. You got to affect the pocket, and that's something that since Rashawn went down, it's been few and far between. It's been precious little.
I don't know that we didn't think it was going to be a big deal losing Rashawn Gary. I don't know if we could have anticipated it to be this big of a deal, right? Like, is that fair to say? I mean, it's
a deal. I mean, I knew it was going to be a big hole to fill, right? But
yeah, no doubt.
They've given up 400 plus yards, 3-4 games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
That just isn't a coincidence, I mean, that didn't just
and
happen.
It's the first time since Nick Perry was their $42 million man that they haven't had like a real pass rusher on the field, like at some time. Because even Rashawn last year, when Z was down, Z for 2 years, like they had somebody in that defense that you knew was going to draw attention and be productive. And God bless JJ Ngabare, hasn't done it quite yet to that consistent level.
Hey, for
he's
a rookie,
shown some flashes.
Well. He's
shown the flashes, right?
He's
so like you've seen guys develop, but you don't have that one pillar to lock into, and that's what they've missed on.
And Preston has played really good football, right? But he's not a pure pass rusher. He just isn't.
No,
he's
really good combo end. Yep.
He's a physical, really great at setting the edge, great physical play. But he's not a singular pass rusher, right? He's not a guy, like you said, that you're scheming up for. You're not worried about him. You're not sliding coverage. If you're an offensive coordinator, you're not staying up at night going, "Oh God, how am I going to stop him?" Like, he's going to hurt you at times. There's no doubt about it. But he's not somebody that you're game planning against. And hey, undoubtedly he'll make a play or two. Like that's who he is. He's a good football player. But to your point, yeah, they haven't that now that Rashawn is down, they have not had that guy. And that's why I'm saying kind of safety blitz, maybe a cat blitz, maybe a little cross golf, just a little something here or there. Like, I don't think that's. Am I out of bounds? Am I asking for the moon here? I don't think so. I don't think I'm being unreasonable.
No, I mean, I think it's a fair thing to write on your Christmas list, Nags. I mean, I think just a couple of blitzes against the guy that gave you 4. I mean, he gave you gift wrapped 4 picks last year that basically won you the game because to all the different tweaks that we've tried to do to this defense to make it a better run defense, shades and shadows of Nick Chubb running up and down that field last year.
God. Lord.
They're right there. So, like, I'm interested to see how much of that game plan McVay tries to implement and says, "Hey, Baker, just get up.
Just don't screw it up." Yeah, no doubt. Don't give the ball to the other team. What's interesting is, speaking of ball, because the ball is life and having the ball and where you have it is important.
That is.
I can't believe that there's a special teams unit worse than the Packers, but the Rams seem to possess one. The fact that they have legit the worst average starting field position in the league, that's crazy. And like, their offense is bad anyway. And then they've made them try to go longer fields than anybody in the league. And they can't do it. They cannot do it. So this all leads to, okay, so the defense should be put in a bunch of advantageous situations, right? But I have no faith, zero faith that Joe Barry will be able to shut this offense down. It's one of those nights. It's going to be, we should be like 3 and out. We should definitely be getting after the quarterback. We should be stopping the run, and they won't be doing any of it. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me how. I just know it in my bones. I feel it.
It's got a feeling of a good bench gripper, right? Where like you're sitting there, you're trying to warm up a little bit and keep everything condensed and just holding on to the bottom of the bench. Like, come on, dude. This is a 9-play drive, and it started at their own 15.
That's the one. That's the one.
And they're at their own 45. Like, what are we waiting for and finish this thing? So there's something to that it could be very, very methodical. And that's the last taste in your mouth at Lambeau Field. And even though you won the day before, 4 days before against Dallas, there were a couple of monster drives. I think there was a 17-play drive for a touchdown in that Dallas game.
Yes.
3 straight touchdown drives. So until you see it put on tape, of the Packers being able to get off the field consistently and not give up 3 straight scoring drives at home.
That's the one.
We're going to bank on it happening.
Where I live. This is where I live now. And then the following week they got Miami. I don't even want to think about that. So we'll just stick with the Rams right now.
We got time for that.
Oh, we got time. That's going to be a special Christmas edition of the Packers ruining my life. I can't wait. I'm really excited.
I believe the quote was, "I'm prepared for this to be the worst fucking Christmas in decades."
Yeah, it's 100%. The idea of being, and here's the other thing, right? Like, I know we're jumping ahead here, but I don't care. Like, the idea that I'm going to be in that damn studio by myself on Christmas, cold ass studio, watching this game by myself, like with Corey, obviously, and people worldwide.
Yeah, and thousands of people on the CHTV
by
network.
myself watching this Packers team. Man, I'm not feeling it.
Well, they come out with a big old 31-27 thrilling victory, and you're going to be sitting there celebrating by yourself. No eggnog to share with anybody.
There's not enough carry the G in the
beautiful
world.
Christmas ham.
Beautiful Christmas time. It's just not it. It's just not it. But like I said, we're jumping ahead. We got to stick on this Rams game.
We got time.
How do you think we see anything markedly different on either side of the ball after the bye week, the self-scouting, or do you think it's more of the same?
I think there's a little bit on the offense of kind of what we talked about, right? Like, it's been working when they've stuck to it late in the game of running the football, heavy doses of under center. I think off of the bye week and the thumb being like pretty fully healed, it sounded like on McAfee. I think that's a reasonable assumption that you're going to see a little bit more of. Defensively, I don't think there's going to be a lot different. Maybe from what you and I were talking about of the exotics of your goal, maybe it's Quay Walker because you have Devondre Campbell there and you hadn't had that for 2 weeks, right? So like there's a little bit of Quay, go play free and fast for the last 4 weeks. Devondre can handle the important lining everybody up stuff and just go play football.
I love that.
Do I believe that's going to happen? Not necessarily, but that would be what I would do out of my
right. And like, get after the quarterback, use his speed, use his athleticism on the edge, like scheme him up, get him after it. Like, that's what I'm hoping.
The other
this is a game that they should be finding themselves in passing situations. They should be able to tee off a couple times.
And for that part, I'm wondering if maybe we do see a little bit more of Devontae Wyatt into some of those passing situations, because while he seems to make a play in his 15 to 17 snaps.
Sorry. It was 8 snaps in Chicago. 8 snaps. 8.
He was going like 25% of the snaps. 20%.
8 snaps. This is your 24th overall pick. What was he? 30. What was it?
Yeah.
He was your second first round pick. What do we?
Oh yeah, he was the second, so he was 29.
He was like, 29. What? He can't get on the field, really?
Because he makes a play when he's out there. That's the one that's a little bit more head scratching than it should be to me. So maybe we see a little bit more of that, and maybe a little less Dean Lowry, maybe a little less Jaron Reed. I don't know.
Never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. It should, but it's never gonna happen. I don't know.
Hey, again, on our wish list.
Yes, for Santa to ignore. Can't wait. All right, Billy. It's a pleasure as always. I can't thank you enough for hanging out and talking ball with me. We're going to keep it short this week, coming off the bye. Not a game to talk about, but looking forward to seeing you on Monday night and then having a game to break down and talk about next week. It's going to be great, man. Thanks so much for joining
Can't wait to have a couple of CHTV lagers there while we're sitting on.
That's what I'm talking about. Little
carry that G, baby.
It's going to be a good time. Billy, thanks so much, buddy.
See you, man.